Hello everyone. Today we're going to be doing the second part of Chapter 5, Section 2. To go over yesterday's work, what I would like is first if you would pull out the homework from yesterday, which was 5.2. It was on unity fractions. It was page 290, A 1 through 16, 19 through 22. We should have two presenters. I know on the assignment sheet it says numbers 3 and 17 should be presented, but it should be numbers 3 and 15 are being presented. So the two people that should be presenting, if you would right now, come up to the board, grab some expo markers, and you can do one problem on each side of the smartboard. So present the two problems, numbers 3 and 15. While you're doing that, the rest of you can check your answers for the odds. We'll go over the evens if you have questions when I'm back. For A, 1 is 51 inches, 3, 1,800 feet, and you can read off the rest right here. So if you want to right now, pause the video so that it'll show the answers from yesterday's homework. Correct your own. Mark which ones you missed, how many you missed at the top, and then while the video is paused, if we could have two people come up and show their work and then briefly explain how they solve those questions, that would be great. So pause the video now and we'll come back after our presenters. Okay, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing the second section of 5.2. It's on compound units, looking at converting areas and volumes. To start, though, what I want to do is do a warm-up in case anyone missed yesterday and just to reflect on what we did. The first question is to write 1 mile equals 5,280 feet as a pair of unity fractions. I can write it in two ways as a single fraction depending on which unit I'm trying to cancel out. So that's the first question. The second question is my Subaru can hold 18 gallons of gasoline. How many liters would this be? And so you don't have to look it up in a table. 3.78 liters is equal to 1 gallon. So those are our two warm-up questions. If you would put those at the bottom of your homework from yesterday, so you just have two more examples for our quiz when we get to it. So pause the video now, give it about maybe 1 minute, and we'll start there. Okay, welcome back. Let's go over it real quick. The first one is to write 1 mile equals 5,280 feet as a pair of unity fractions. The reason it's called unity is unity means 1. If these two things are equal, really we're just writing the number 1. So 1 mile per 5,280 feet. That is really the number 1 because these two things are equivalent. 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. If I have anything divided by itself, it equals the number 1. So that's one way of writing it. The other way is I could write 5,280 feet per 1 mile. It doesn't matter which way I write it. One way is going to be more useful than another depending on which unit I'm trying to cancel out. And we'll see more examples of that down here in number 2. So there's number 1. Number 2 is 18 gallons of gasoline. I want to get it out of gallons and into liters. So right now I have 18 gallons. 18 gallons. I'm going to write it as 18 gallons over 1 because that's what it really is. Now I need to use this unity relationship right here. I'm trying to cancel gallons to get into liters. So really I'm going to multiply by a unity fraction, and the unity fraction I'm going to choose is the one that has gallons on bottom, because then gallons over gallons are going to cancel one another, and I'll be into liters. So really I'm just multiplying by the number 1 because those two things are a unity fraction. They're equal to one another. I'm just changing the expression in the units that are being related. So now I have gallons are going to cancel out with gallons, and I'm going to take 18 and multiply it by 3.78, and I get 68 approximately liters. So this is equal to 68 liters. When I multiply, how do I multiply fractions? Tops times top, bottom times bottom. So 18 is going to multiply 3.78, 1 is going to multiply 1. That's where I get 68 liters from, and that is what we did yesterday. So we were canceling single measurement units, and today we're going to look at canceling areas and volumes. So a question that might be concerned with that. So if you would, have your notes out. We're on the second day of 5.2, so flip to those. The lead-in question, which you'll come back and solve on your own, is this. So you're going to buy some carpeting. The problem is the two stores that you're going to buy it from, one sells it as a price per square yard, the other one sells it as a price per square foot, and we want to know which one's the better deal. So we need to know how to go from square yards to square feet in order to compare. So Carpet City is offering it at $42.95 per square yard. Carpeterium is offering it $4.95 per square foot. So I need to know how to go from square yards to square feet in order to compare those two prices. That's what we're kind of looking at today. That would be a useful skill for an owner of a business to know. We'll come back to that. First thing we need to talk about is how to convert areas. So if I have 1 square foot, how do I get into square inches? Well, here's 1 square foot. It's a square foot because it's 1 foot by 1 foot, and it's 1 foot times 1 foot gives us 1 feet squared. That's where we get exponents relating directly to area. Well, I know a foot has 12 inches in it. So over here on the second one, I'm going to divide each of those feet into the 12 inches. So on this side and this side, now I have 12 inches here, 12 inches there. I know the area of this is going to be 12 times 12, so I get 144 inches squared. So what I see is 1 foot squared is equal to 144 inches squared, because we get 12 for each dimension. 12 inches for the length, 12 inches for the width, which means 12 times 12 is going to give me 144 square inches. I've put a table on your notes of some other ones that might be useful to know as you're doing the homework, going from square feet to square inches, square yards to feet, and square inches. There's some measurements that measure in square rods, acres, square miles, all those things. So you can use that as a resource as you're going through the homework set. I want you to also know, I gave you the pictures, also know how these pictures are developed. So if I want to go from square yards now to square feet, so if this is 1 square yard right here, what I know is this is 1 yard wide and 1 yard tall. I know that in 1 yard there are 3 feet. So I can divide this over here into 1, 2, this is 1 foot each, so 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot, and I'm going to do that down here as well. 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot, because 3 feet per yard. And now if I actually draw this out, I'm going to see how many square feet there are in 1 square yard. I'm going to see there's 9, because I get 3 feet for each dimension. Because we're measuring area, there's 2 dimensions. So what I see here is 1 yard squared is equal to 9 feet squared. Let's try square yards and square inches. This one's going to be a little bit harder to draw out. So down here again, I have my 1 yard here, 1 yard here, and I have the same drawing actually that I had up top. I can imagine, now I'm in square inches, so let's do the feet first. So here is my 3 feet. The problem is, now imagine this, with inside each of these is going to be 12 inches. So 12 inches here, 12 inches here, 12 inches here, so this is actually 36 inches this side. So I'd have to do, imagine I'd have to do 36 tick marks down here. And 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, each of these are 12 inches. So in total, this is also 36 inches. So I can imagine I'm going to have to put, 36 tick marks on this side. Now I want to know its area. 36 this way, 36 that way. It's going to give me 36 times 36, and that's 1,296. So if I drew them all out, there'd be 1,296 little boxes in here representing square inches. So what I've seen is 1 yard squared equals 1,296 inches squared. And if you go back and look at our table, that's what the table says. The table also says 1 square yard, there's our 9 square feet we got for the first drawing. There's our 1,296 square inches we got from our second drawing. So that's where it comes from, because we have to consider 2 dimensions. So we're going to end up needing to multiply how many inches are in each yard for each dimension. Let's look at how we use this though to solve some questions. So a football field is 5,333 yards squared. Maybe I'm going to lay some fertilizer, and the fertilizer demands me to know how many square feet there are to know how much fertilizer I might need. So I need to go from square yards to square feet. So I know I have 5,333 yards squared, and I need to get out of square yards and get into square feet. So there's 2 ways to do this. I'll show you both ways. The first way is, let's go look up again how many square yards or square feet were there in a square yard. There were 9 square feet in a square yard. So I could say that if I know there's 9 feet squared in 1 yard squared, I can use that to cancel out yards. So I know in 1 yard squared, I'm going to put yards squared on the bottom of this unity fraction so that it'll cancel out. I know there's 9 feet squared here, so I know then yard squareds are going to cancel yard squareds. This is really 533 over 1. Now I multiply fractions, tops times top, bottom times bottom. So what I'm going to get is 5,333 times 9 on top, and then 1 on bottom. So that's just going to be the number on top is going to be my answer. When I multiply those things, I get 47,997 square feet squared. Another way is if I don't remember how many square feet there are in a square yard, another way is you can do it, it just takes a few extra steps. I can do 5,333 yards squared, and I'm going to cancel each yard squared one at a time. So I know how many feet there are in a yard. I know there are 3 feet in a yard, so I'm going to do each of those dimensions one at a time. So in 1 yard, there are 3 feet. Now I've taken that yard, one of those yards, and I've canceled that, so it's not yards squared. Now it's just out of yards. I got rid of one of those powers. Now I need to get rid of the last yard, so I need to do this unity fraction one more time. I need to use another yard, so I need 1 yard, and then how many feet are there in 1 yard? There are 3 feet. And I've now taken this yard unit and I've canceled the second one that was originally in the yards squared. Now I take 5,333 multiplied by 3, multiply by 3 again, and that's the same as multiplying by 9. I just don't need to remember how many feet squared there are in a yard squared. And I get the same answer. It's just a different way of looking at it. Instead of doing it in 1 step, you do it in 2 steps. So it takes more steps, but it's less things to kind of memorize. So there's benefits to both. Okay. Your turn is to answer this. If a wall measures 15 square feet, how many square inches is it? So let's pause the video now. Let's go 2 minutes. So pause the video now for 2 minutes. I want you to try both of these methods. I want you to try to do it in 1 step, and then I also want you to try to do it in 2 steps. So kind of like that. So pause the video now. Come back after everyone's had a chance to try in 2 minutes. Okay, welcome back. Let's go over it. So I have 15 feet squared, and I want to get it into inches squared. I can go and look up how many inches squared there are in a foot squared, and I know it's going to be 144. So if I want to do it in 1 step, it looks like this. Now I've taken feet squared, canceled feet squared. Now I'm in my desired unit, which is inches squared, and I get 15 times 144, and that gives me 2,160 inches squared. That's if I want to do it in 1 step. Shorter amount of steps, but a little bit more to memorize because I need to know 144 inches are in 1 foot squared. If I want to do more steps but less memorization, it'd look like this. I have 15 feet squared. Let's cancel each of those feet one at a time. I know in 1 foot there's 12 inches, so I'll use that unity fraction. Now I've taken one of those feet and canceled it, and I need to get rid of the other one, so I need to do it one more time. So 1 foot, there's going to be another 12 inches. Now I've taken feet, canceled both of them, and again I'm going to do 15 times 12 times 12. Well, 12 times 12 is 144. So I get the same answer, but it's just a different way to look at it. So I get 2,160 inches squared. Okay, that's converting areas. Now the next part we need to look at is how do I convert between volumes? So I have 1 cubic yard is equal to how many cubic feet? So a cubic yard would mean 1 yard this way, 1 yard that way, and 1 yard this way. Okay, so that's a cubic yard, a yard in each dimension. If it's a yard in each dimension, I know there are 3 feet in each yard. So there's 3 feet here, 3 feet there. There's 1, 2, so there's 3 feet in that dimension, and there's 3 feet upward. What I can do is I can draw on the picture here. So it'll look kind of like this. So filling in the picture to show you where people get kind of these answers. Looks like that, like that. And the last one is I need to do these guys. Ooh, that one's not too good, but you get the idea. Okay, it looks like that. Hey, it's kind of like a Rubik's Cube. Right? So it'd be like me telling you if I dropped a Rubik's Cube on the floor, how many cubes would I get out of it? Well, if I look at maybe, let's just do this one level at a time. Here's the top level right here. How many cubes are in the top level? I can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the top level. Must be 9 in the middle level and 9 on the bottom level. So it's 9, 9, and 9. So there's going to be 27 if each of these is a foot. So if that's a foot, that's a foot, that's a foot. All of my little dimensions are feet. I'm going to get 27 feet cubed. And it comes from the fact that there are 3 feet per yard in each dimension. And 3 times 3 times 3, because there's 3 dimensions, is going to give me 27. So what I get is 1 yard cube equals 27 feet cubed, because in each dimension I got 3. And 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. Question I want to ask is how many cubic inches are there in 1 cubic foot. I don't want to draw the picture for this. I want to solve it. So I want to know in 1 cubic foot, that's what I have, how many cubic inches are there? Well, let's use our strategy of canceling each dimension once. So I'm going to multiply. I know in 1 foot there are 12 inches. So I've canceled one of the feet. Now I'm down to 2. I'm down to feet squared. Now I need to cancel another foot. So in 1 foot, again, there are 12 inches. Now I've canceled the 2. So now I'm actually down to feet. I need to do one more dimension. Get 12 inches. Now I have a fraction multiplication. I have 1 times 12 times 12 times 12. What are my units? Inches times inches times inches is going to give me inches cubed, and that was my desired dimension. I have 12 times 12 times 12. That makes sense. There's 12 inches in each foot. There's 3 dimensions, so it's going to be 12 cubed, and that'll be how many inches there are in a cubic foot, and that turns out to be 1,728 cubic inches in a cubic foot. So 1,728. So 1 foot cube equals 1,728 inches cube. Here's a challenge question. How many cubic feet are there in 1 cubic inch? So that's to say, if I had one of those tiny little cubic inches, what fraction of a cubic foot does it represent? So the way I answer that is I say, okay, what do I have now? I have 1 cubic inch. I have 1 inch cube, and I wanted to know what fraction of a cubic foot does it represent. So now I want to get out of cubic inches and get into cubic feet. Well, it's just kind of the flip question we just asked. I want to get out of inches cubed and into feet. So I know there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So that'll cancel one of my inches, so now I'm squared. Now I need to cancel another set of inches. I know there's 12 inches in 1 foot. That'll get me out of inches squared and into straight inches, and then I need one more cancelization, so I get 12 inches per 1 foot. Now my units are feet times feet times feet, because I've canceled all my inches, and that's feet cubed. And what do I get? Well, I get, when I multiply, I get 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, so on top is 1. On bottom I get 1 times 12 times 12 times 12. Hey, that's 1,728 feet cubed. That makes sense. It's one of the tiny little blocks that we need for all of them, and we need 1,728 to make an entire cubic foot. So 1 cubic inch is only 1,728 of a cubic foot. Okay? Your turn is to answer this. 15 cubic yards is equal to how many cubic inches? So if you start with 15 yards cubed, can you get into inches cubed? And on this one, you might want to use the unity fraction. That is 1 cubic yard right here is equal to 46,656 cubic inches, because otherwise you have to go to yards to feet to inches if you didn't have this table. So that's your first one, and then the lead-in question I want you to try after you've answered this first one. So let's take maybe 3 minutes on this one to answer both of those. 15 cubic yards is equal to how many cubic inches? You're going to want to use this conversion right here. 1 cubic yard is 46,656 cubic inches. And then the second one then is to go back to the lead-in question and answer this guy. So pause the video now for 3 minutes, and after you've paused it, we'll go over both. Okay, welcome back. Let's first go to the first question that was asked, which is 15 cubic yards is equal to how many cubic inches? So solving that guy, 15 cubic yards. I want to get it out of cubic yards, and I want to use the fact that I know that 1 yard cubed from the table is 46,656 inches cubed. I'm not going to use this strategy that we were doing here because I would need to go from cubic yards to cubic feet, and then from cubic feet to cubic inches, and that'd be a long trail. So I know the shortcut from the table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use cancel yards cubed. So 1 yard cubed is going to cancel because I'm going to have yards on top and bottom, and I know it's 46,656 inches cubed in each cubic yard, and I've got how many cubic yards? 15 cubic yards. So here I'm going to have yards cubed canceling yards cubed, and I'm going to take 46,656. That's how many little inches cubed are in each yard cubed, and I'm going to multiply by 15 because I have 15 cubic yards. What it turns out to be is 69,000 or 699,000. So I'm going to go back, erase that. 699,840 inches cubed are in 15 cubic yards. So that's the first one. Now we need to go back to the leading question. Leading question is it's $42.95 per square yard and $4.95 per square foot. So what I might want to do is let's try to get this to be in how many square yards so that I can compare square yards to square yards. So it's $4.95 per square foot. And how many square feet are there in a square yard? Well, I know in 1 yard squared, I look at my table where I know there's 3 feet in each dimension, so there's going to be 9 feet squared. So what would I need to do to take this and get it to be into yards squared? Well, I need to multiply by 9. So it would be take $4.95, multiply it by 9, and what I'm going to get is this guy right here. Turns out to be $44.55 per square yard, because it was $4.95 per square foot, and there's 9, oh, I meant square right here, I wrote 3. There's 9 square feet in each square yard. So which one's the better deal? It looks like this first one, Carpet City, is a better deal. Okay. Last question then is this one. Let's say you're going to install a swimming pool. The swimming pool is made to be 20 feet long, 15 feet across, and 16 feet deep. How many gallons will it take to fill the pool? What I'm going to do is actually leave this